Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Jack, coach of your Wenatchee Wobbuffets, bringing you our Week 3 battle versus Joe and the Bainbridge Island Blazikens. His team you can see over on the left-hand side. I'm going to go over that real quick before I get into my team. So his first mon is the Cortana, a really fast mon. Has a pretty decent physical defense, but it is known for that outstanding like 180 or 185 base attack stat with the beast boost ability. It does set up pretty easily and pretty reliably. It does have really good coverage moves too with its stab, leaf blade and smart strike, dark stab and night slash, psychic, and some other coverage moves as well. It's just a really good mon. I think it's his fastest mon on his team, if I'm not mistaken, at base 103, if off the top of my head. I definitely think that mon's coming, just because it does reliably outspeed the Mew. I think it's going to probably be Choice Scarf, so that it also outspeeds my Houndoom as well, and can revenge kill it with the Sacred Sword, I believe it gets for fighting type coverage. Next mon he has is the Gudra, definitely 1,000,000% coming. Either possibly like more offensive set, or he might just want to bring a Sulfest just to make sure he can eat as many hits as possible from Houndoom. But Gudra, like, I've been wanting to draft Gudra, honestly, for the longest time in the draft format, just because it's so good. It has such great special bulk, but also has really good offensive stats in both the physical and special side. So you can really play around with its sets. It gets really good coverage moves, too, like Power Whip, Thunderbolt, Sledge Wave, Flamethrower, etc., etc. Plus, the Dragon Stab, Draco Meteor, and Outrage. Just a really good, solid move overall. And then his third mon is the Azumarill, rounding out his Steel Fairy Dragon Core. Azumarill, another fantastic powerhouse with the huge power. You generally see it running either a Belly Drum or a Choice Band set, but it can run like an Assault Vest, again, if he's really fearing the Houndoom. It could run like a Belly Drum, Citrus Berry. He does not have any Z captains. He has not claimed any as of yet, so he cannot run the Z Belly Drum Azumarill, which is really good to know, which means that once I do get it below 50%, no more Belly Drum for it. Next mon up is Nidoking. I had Nidoking last year. It is such a great mon. Pretty decent speed at base 85, but it just hits so hard with Sheer Force, Life Orb, Sludge Wave, Earth Power, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Focus Blast. Gets priority and Sucker Punch if he decides to bring that. But just overall, Nidoking is a fantastic mon. Wouldn't be surprised if he brings it at all. Next one is Vikavolt. He's brought it these past 2 weeks. He might end up bringing it if he wants to take advantage of my weakness to electricity, but I do have a good amount of mons, especially my fire types, Drapion, other stuff like that can really take hits from it pretty well, and easily revenge kill as well. So it's a kind of a up in the air whether or not he brings that. Next one is Toxicroak. I've never been a huge fan of Toxicroak, honestly. I know it's a really good mon, gets access to Sword Stance and like Sucker Punch, and has really great stab coverage in Drain Punch and Gunk Shot, gets knockoff and stuff like that. I've just never really been a fan of it, honestly. But he might bring it if he wants a good switch into my Araquanid, because it does have this dry skin ability, making it immune to all types of water moves. And then, of course, it resists the Leech Life as well and is immune to Toxic, so Araquanid can't really touch that. So Toxicroak is a likely bring if he's particularly afraid of it. Alolan Golem, I mean, it's an alright mon, I suppose. Rock Electric type, but really niche stab typing. But you might bring it if he wants to bring like rocks, but I don't really see him bringing that this week. Next one is the Blaziken. He cannot run Speed Boost Blaziken, so it has to be Blaze. I'm not entirely expecting that. I do have quite a few mons that can take from hits pretty well. But you never know, he might end up bringing it. Next one is the Toucanon. I don't really see him bringing that. However, he might if he really wants to bring a Defogger, because it is immune to both Sticky Webs and Spikes. It is weak to Stealth Rock, so he does have to be playing around with that. But basically, Toucanon and Kartana are his only two. Actually, I think I might be completely wrong about this, but I think Blaziken actually gets Defog for some reason. But I don't think he's going to bring default Blaziken. So if you bring Scarf to Kartana, he might bring a Toucanon as well, just to make sure he keeps hazards off of his side of the field. And then the last mon he has is Mega Steelix, super bulky on the physical side, with a really good rock setter, Pretty weak on the special side, so I can take advantage of that pretty easily. But yeah, it just has phenomenal bulk. It walls all of my physical threats pretty well. So as far as what I think he's going to bring, Kartana, Gudra, Azumarill, 1,000,000%. Kartana, I think he's going to be Scarf. He might bring a Sword Stance variant or a Sword Stance Life Orb variant if he wants. He cannot bring the Z move, obviously, because he does not have Z Captains. Any Z Captains, what's the word I'm looking for? Announced at all. But yeah, I really think he's going to want to bring a Scarf Kartana just so he can have, since basically my fastest mons are Mew, which Kartana outspeeds, Houndoom, which cannot run a Choice Scarf, obviously, and then Excelgor, which would be really weird to bring Choice Scarf. If he does bring Scarf Katana and I don't get webs up, it is just automatically the fastest thing on the field, so you might want to bring that just to make sure he always has something that outspeeds everything. And then Goodrow and Azumarill, just because they check a lot of my threats really well as deal out some good damage. Toxicroak, if he's particularly afraid of Araquanid, however, my more physical walls can handle that pretty well. And then Steelix definitely, and possibly Toucanon if he wants a Defogger, Vikavolt if he wants Volt Switch Initiative, Nidoking if he just wants some extra power. But yeah, going into my team, the mon you see right in front of you is Jack the Mew, running a physically defensive set this week to check these stuff like Azumarill and Kartana, as well as Toxicroak, Blaziken if he brings it, Steelix. Running Stealth Rock, Roost, Flamethrower, and Thunderbolt. Flamethrower and Thunderbolt hits a lot of stuff. There are some things that completely wall it, like Gudra, or like the Chandelure, or the Alolan Golem. But other than that, Flamethrower and Thunderbolt is really the only coverage I really need, and it's not supposed to be here for to deal out good damage. It's here to check the Kartana and the Azumarill, and the Steelix mostly. I'm not running default because I do want the Roost for the longevity, and then I would definitely want to get up my own Stealth Rocks as well because he has a lot of mons that don't really appreciate the Stealth Rocks. Next one I'm bringing is Simon. I believe Simon is the only mon that I have not yet brought these last 2 weeks. Also running pretty physically defensive with you see it's kind of a weird EV spread. I believe the speed EVs are there to make sure I always outspeed an adamant Azumarill. If he runs Jolly, then he will outspeed me, but he's going to be doing significantly less damage. And then the rest kind of put into attack and then a little extra bulk as well. With Spike, Spiky Shield, Drain Punch, and Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb for the Azumarill, Drain Punch in case he's Scarf Katana locked into like Leaf Blade or Night Slash or something like that, some kind of move I can hit, take pretty well. I can Drain Punch on that and 1v1 the Kartana pretty well. And then Spikes and Spiky Shield. Spikes are going to be super important as both Spikes and Stealth Rocks. Getting hazards up because he does have the Vikavolt, which he's brought the last 2 weeks and really likes to just Volt Switch on stuff, so Stealth Rocks are going to be really important for that. And Spikes are going to be super important to make sure that stuff like the Azumarill, Kartana, Nidoking are just going to be constantly chipped down each time they come in. Next mon we have is Drapion, Leg Day, holding the Waterium Z. Drapion is potentially my main sweeper. It really does depend what he ends up bringing this week. It does get semi-walled by the Toxicroak, although if I do set up a couple Sword Stances, I think I can overcome it pretty well. Enough speed EVs to outspeed Blaziken, I think. His base 85ers, I believe that's 4. So like Nidoking, Blaziken, I think hits 85. Toxicroak potentially as well. And then just max attack and the rest of the EVs into bulk. Sword Stance, Aqua Tail, Hydro Vortex for the Steelix, for the Blaziken, for the Alolan Golem if he decides to bring that, for Chandelure if I find out he's more bulky and a knockoff won't take it out. The Nidoking also as well. Hydro Vortex 100% knocks out the Nidoking. And then knockoff Poison Jab for those just those stab moves. I'm bringing Houndoom this week with Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, and Super Fang. I do not have any set up, and I don't have the Torkoal this week, so it's not really going to be a main sweeper. But it can come in if he's not Scarf Kartana. It can come in on that and threaten it out with a Flamethrower. Super Fang is there for the Gudra as well as any other potential Self-S users, doing a reliable 50% on switch-in or less/more. It'll be doing less percentage, but it'll be lower if I do have the hazards up, Stealth Rocks and Spikes. So that's just there to make sure I get that chip damage. Gudra does not get any recovery outside of rest. So if I do get the Super Fang, I won't be able to take it out the next turn if it is Assault Vest. But then on a future turn, if I go for the other Super Fang, I can then knock it out with like Dark Pulse or Sludge Bomb or something like that. Sludge Bomb is there mostly for the Azumarill. I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that's there for, so Azumarill can't consistently come in on me, and then potentially getting the poison as well, making sure that he doesn't have a lot of opportunities to set up the Belly Drum. Next one we have here is Miralax, the Snorlax, running Max HP, Adamant, Max Attack. Running the Figure Berry Gluttony set, this thing is my main check to Gudra if he decides to bring a more offensive version. Even Draco Meteor does barely 50%, and then he's at -2. My berry pops, and I'm back at full, and then since he's at -2, he can't really touch me anymore. Body Slam, Earthquake, and Fire Punch. Fire Punch is there for the Kartana. Earthquake for stuff like Blaziken, Steelix, Alolan Golem, and then Body Slam just for everything else. Hopefully getting some paras. I really think Snorlax can put in a lot of work this week, just because nothing can really touch it, especially especially offensive mons, and he can really just sit there for as long as he likes, really, and just get some nice chip damage on everything until eventually either Houndoom or Drapion could come in and get the late game sweep. So I really think Snorlax is going to be our main mid game kind of not a sweeper, not a mid game sweeper, but like just kind of get that necessary chip damage on everything. And then the last one we have is our Pitapaqua, the Araquanid, holding leftovers in Water Bowl, max physically defensive. This mon is here for the Blaziken. If he decides to bring that, an offensive Blaziken could potentially do a lot of work. So I resist both the stabs due to my Water Bubble ability. And then I am only running Liquidation and Scald for my attacking moves, so Toxicroak does completely wall this set. However, I do have my other answers to Toxicroak, like the Mew. Even though Mew isn't carrying the Psychic, the Dry Skin ability does make it weak to Flamethrower, so I do have that. And Simon can also take on the Toxicroak pretty well as well. So yeah, and then just getting at the Sticky Webs, in case he does bring Scarf Katana, I can slow that down to make sure that my Houndoom is the fastest thing on the field. And then Liquidation and Scald. Liquidation for the power, Scald in case I really want to hope for like Scald burns on like the Azumarill or Steelix and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's my team. So basically the strategy is lead off with either Mew or Chestnut, get my hazards up. Hopefully he doesn't have a defogger, so those hazards are there to stay. I do not have my own hazard removal, so if he does get Stealth Rocks up on me, that can be a bit of a problem. But I'm not too really worried about that. I'm more than willing to trade Stealth Rocks and then potentially get some of my hazards up as well instead of him, so that he'll be taking more chip damage than I will be. So I'm totally fine locking the defog this week. So yeah, lead off with either Mew or Simon, depending on what exactly he brings and which mon I feel like he's going to bring more. And then get into Araquanid and to Snorlax, get that chip damage, and then finish the game with either Houndoom or Drapion, depending on how his team is looking. So yeah, past 2 weeks he's brought like roughly the same team with like Trick Room, Chandelure, Belly Drum, Azumarill, and then like Stealth Rock, Steelix, and stuff like that. So if I do see the Chandelure, I think I'm going to just go ahead and guess that he's going to lead with that, so I might end up leading off with Drapion or with Houndoom, because I do not want him to get a Trick Room up. Even though Snorlax would actually really appreciate a Trick Room, I'm pretty sure outside of Steelix, Snorlax will be the fastest thing under Trick Room. So that would be really good, however, it would really hurt the rest of my team as well, so that would not be preferable. So if I do see the Chandelure and I think he's going to try to set up the Trick Room, I'm probably going to lead off with the Houndoom or the Drapion. So yeah, that's my team. Joe and I are going to be facing off in just a couple hours here. I believe the first fight of this week. So the way our division stands, we are currently third in our division, even though we are 2-0. It's just Chaz and Skirk are also 2-0, and they have a higher differential. However, they are both fighting each other, so they cannot both walk out of this week with a win. So as long as we win our fight with Joe, and depending on our differential coming out of it, we will definitely be at least second place, if not first place at the end of this week. So yeah, this is actually a pretty important week from us. Even though it's only week 3 and it doesn't matter that much, it will set the ball rolling for how the rest of the season is going to look like. So yeah, this match is pretty important. Thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to giving you the live commentary of my battle with Joe, and I'll see you guys in a bit.